All right, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking a lot about Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss and how it hasn't been an easy couple of days for their campaigns, but also Matt Hancock. Do you remember Matt Hancock? The health secretary who had to leave in disgrace because of his personal scandals, but generally speaking, he should have been punished for his policy decisions in that job and in that department. But one of the things they did during the lockdown was he hired Dido Harding, who is the wife of one of the Tory MPs, but she was also the head of Talk Talk, which she was the head when there were a lot of scandals and crises in that company. They hired her for the government to head up all the lockdown projects, the test and trace, and all the restrictions to find out how we can use technology to control the public in the name of public health. Now, there was a problem with a lot of the contracts that happened back then, or with the private sector, a lot of dodgy contracts, a lot of the text messages with the neighbor saying, well, I know you through someone else, so I'm going to hire you. And there was a backlash because a lot of people said, well, you can't just do that. You broke the rules of competition and, generally speaking, equality. You have to go through the proper process to hire someone. Now, two judges in the UK court have come out to condemn Matt Hancock's decision to also hire Dido Harding. So a couple of judges have found that the health secretary at the time, Matt Hancock, did not comply with public sector equality duties in government's decision to appoint Dido Harding as the interim chair of the National Institute for Health Protection. This was back in August 2020. And of course, also Coop, who was the director of testing for NHS Test and Trace. Well, I don't understand why in this article they say track and trace, but that's for Royal Mail. It's test and trace in September 2020. And they basically said you can't just randomly hire people. You can't do the fast track. The same problem that they had with the private sector contracts or the dodgy contracts. Same thing has clearly happened with the recruitment of Dido Harding and Coop. Now, on the one hand, they say you kind of broke the rules, but there's no evidence of if someone like her didn't actually deserve it. So Matt Hancock has decided to use that as an excuse. So his comeback, his response to this finding is the court judgment also states that the evidence provides no support at all for the allegation that Dido Harding secured senior positions on the basis of personal or political connections in government. It's not rocket science. It's not easy to find actual written evidence unless there was some sort of text message or an email saying that I'm putting it in writing that I'm hiring you because your husband is a Tory MP, for example, or we've known you from somewhere before. It's difficult to prove that unless you have something in writing, but everybody knows that you did a fast track. That's the problem. And even if she technically deserves some merit, you still did a fast track. If you had gone through the proper process, then it would have been better. Now, some people said, especially when it came to the private sector contracts, saying, well, they had to rush it. They didn't have enough time. Well, that exposes the problem with the system, isn't it? That, these things haven't been prepared in the past. You need to have things in place just in case, and you don't really do it in time, and then you rush it, then you do fast track, then you do dodgy contracts, and chaos happens. That's the problem. That's why we have to expose this. Now, we are going to come back in a half an hour and tell you more about Rishi Sunak's overreaction to the England's women's team winning the Euro 2022. So don't forget to get your merchandise Bill Backwards, and the link is in the description. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.